right, are we here? Testing, 1, 2, 3. Everything's working. Welcome everyone back to Madden 2002. This is going to be a lot more freeform. I'm going to be doing this almost like as if I was streaming, because there's a lot to talk about, a lot to discuss in terms of the Dallas Cowboys and the series overall and the franchise moving forward. So I figured I would record this one live rather than record it like I normally do with I just go through it all and I just kind of provide the VO afterward in post. There's just a lot that I really want to cover in this video, so I just figured we'll record it live. We'll do it free form because there's a lot here to kind of unpack. So one of the things I wanted to note as I went through the schedule, and you probably picked up on this, 9 of our 10 losses are all one possession losses. So that is a huge thing here. But the inverse of that, the flip of that, 4 of our 6 wins are also one possession wins. So I guess whatever you want to make of that, right? So there's a few plays all season long that might separate us from the playoffs. And as we look at the standings, it'll actually be pretty interesting to see where we landed in the NFC. Not even the league, but just in the NFC. I haven't even checked where we landed in the league, but in the NFC, it's a little bit more shocking than you're probably expecting, given how the season went. But we'll do a quick recap of the schedule real quick here. Our biggest loss of the year was this opening game to the Seahawks, a team that for some reason we just cannot seem to figure out how to beat. They have been pretty good consistently in this series since we started it. I think this is their second year probably going to the playoffs since joining the NFC with the whole expansion of Houston. They've been pretty consistently good in the postseason. So we did pick up a big win over the Bears, which ended up being a really nice win for us as the Bears went 12-4, presumably probably won the AFC North. We then dropped a 3-point loss to the Browns. We did really bad against the AFC North this year. Really, really bad. I don't even know if we beat the Ravens. I think we went 0-4 against the AFC North. So your out-of-conference games statistically really don't mean as much as the other games do when it comes to tie-breaking scenarios and whatnot, but still, to drop 4 games on your schedule, regardless of who they're against, it's kind of bad. So, lose to the Bengals here, who weren't that good this year. We did lose to the Eagles, who ended up winning our division. We did beat the Buccaneers, who also went to the playoffs. So 2 of our wins so far are against playoff teams, which is funny enough. We ended up losing. So the Lions were really good when we went into that game. They were 5-1, 6-1 when we went into that game, and they finished 8-8. So that's a humongous second half collapse for the Detroit Lions in a game that was really kind of. I thought the game was going to be a lot better when I recorded it, but it ended up being a bit of a stinker. We dropped both games to the Giants this year as well. This is their first win. The Giants were 0-8, I think, heading into this game, and they ended up winning against us. We did beat the Vikings, lost to the Steelers. Remember, this is the huge blow-up that we had where we gave up a pretty big lead. I think it was 28-10, and we ended up losing this game, and then in overtime. And then, of course, we lost to the Ravens in a close game as well. So, yeah, we went 0-4 against the AFC North. We did well against the Redskins this year, funnily enough. That's very odd. We also beat the Packers, who were 4-8, so they ended up having a bit better of a. They were 4-8 going into this game, so they had a pretty good final 4 weeks of the season than we did, because we would lose to the Giants again, we lose to the Eagles again by 5 points, and then we picked up our last win of the year against the Skins. So I don't know if that game necessarily saved our jobs, like I titled the video. If we look at the coaching screen, which I guess we'll do now, we can look at the coach screen and see where Jerry has kind of ranked us here. So we're at 9 of 100 points. This is the screen I flashed at the end of the last episode. We're at 9 of 100 points. I don't know where we have to be in order to get fired, because I do have coach firings on. I thought I had it in the Bengals series, but I never did. So I kept thinking I was going to get fired after every season, and it never came because I didn't have the coach firings on. So in this series, I do. So I'm expecting that to happen at some point. Our record is pretty bad over 4 years, but that was a huge thing I wanted to note. So I'm going to pull this up here. Hold on. I'm going to pull this up because this is a pretty crazy thing to note. Hold on. I got to pull it up here on. There it is. Okay. I had to pull it up on my phone real quick because this is nuts. Because the big thing here, the real big thing I thought doing the Cowboys would be like kind of a cool thing is because at this point in time, especially in this game, the Cowboys would have Dave Campo, who would be pretty bad for 3 straight years. They had 3 straight 5-11 years. That kind of was the catalyst for the end of their 90s decade. dynasty and kind of putting them into the current form of them that we know them as now. So he went 5-11 for 3 straight years. So when I took him over, basically cut out that first year and treat it like he was one and done, and the two, and then the other two 5-11 seasons. So if you count the 4 years minus the tie, every record has been the same. We've literally done nothing different. So in that second year of Dave Campo, when he went 5-11, I think we also went 5-11 in our first season. Maybe 6-10, I think, or no, we went 7-9. We went 7-9. That was the difference. And then in the second year, they went 5-11, and I think we went 5-10-1. Or 6-9-1, something like that. We were very close. We were within a game of that. And then in year number 3, we also went 10-6. However, the Cowboys would lose in the wild card round. We won our wild card round game and then lost in the divisional. So that's the big difference. So we actually won a playoff game, and that's what I think the only saving grace for us having our jobs would still be, is that we won a playoff game. And then in the fourth year, they went 6-10, and we also went 6-10. So we really haven't changed the trajectory of the team and what they would do with 2 coaches between Dave Campo and the coach. Who would they hire next? I think it's a big name, right? Hold on. Dave Campo and Bill Parcells. I knew it. I was going to say Parcells. That's who I thought it was. So between Parcells and Campo, we've essentially done the same thing. We've done the exact same thing. So so that's kind of why I think we've maybe captured our job. But even here, you can see division standing too. So we're going to look at the standings, because that is probably the biggest thing right now to note, obviously, to see where we're looking at. So we're going to look at the NFC right now. So the Bears take the top seed in the NFC, winning the North. The Rams are behind them, winners of the West. And then the Eagles take the East at 11-5 as well as the 3rd seed. The Saints are the 4th seed, the final division seed, winning the NFC South. And then the Seahawks and Buccaneers are your wild cards. And that was kind of really it. It looks like every team, the NFC playoff picture was probably pretty much set in stone as early as maybe like week 14 or 15, as both the Lions and the Niners dropped to 500. Those are the closest teams that were close to the playoffs. It was a really top and bottom type of year for the NFC, as the rest of these teams here kind of bottom out. And there we are at 11th, man. We are only 11th, so we were only just a couple games away from being right out on the porch, knocking on the door and into the playoffs, which is a weird way to put it, because we weren't anywhere close. Obviously, we weren't close to 10-6. We flipped that record, so we obviously were not close. But to think that the teams that are just on the cusp, kind of competing in the last couple of weeks, were only 2 wins away from us, is interesting, and to still be 11th. So think about that. There's still like a good handful of teams that were worse than we were. So we placed higher than the Falcons, who went 6-10, the Cardinals, who also went 6-10, the Skins in our own division, who went 5-11, the Giants in our division, who went 5-11, and then the Panthers take the caboose at 4-12. So yeah, there's a good handful of teams under here that we sit above, even though we were pretty bad as well. So in the AFC, however, the Ravens, who we also played this year, take the top seed in the AFC at 12-4 and win the North. The Chargers win the West at 11-5. The Dolphins win the East at 11-5, and then the Jaguars take the South at 10-6. And then the Jets and Colts are your wild card seeds from the AFC East and the AFC South, respectively. So it was a little bit closer in the AFC here. The Browns finished just a game off here at 9-7, but that's really kind of it. The Raiders at 500 didn't really have a shot. The Steelers didn't. Steelers maybe did because of the Browns situation, but it maybe came down. Maybe they played each other in the last week. I'm not sure. The Chiefs at 7-9 didn't really have a big chance either. The Bengals here at 7-9. The Bills, Titans go 6-10. The Texans go 5-11. Texans still looking for a winning season after joining the NFL, still struggling to do that. The Patriots fired Bill Belichick for this 5-11 season, so the Broncos are 5-11 as well. So it looks like the Panthers probably locked up that number 1 draft pick. And considering these 3 teams here and the 5 teams that were below us, we probably have like the 10th pick maybe? Hold on, we'll look at the NFL here. We'll look at the standings and see where we rank, because so we're 23rd. Okay, so what is that, the 9th spot? Is my quick math correct here? Yeah, is it the 9th spot now? We have the 9th pick in the draft. Okay, I'll take a top 10 pick. We probably need it. I'm not sure where we're going to look at next in terms of building the roster. I didn't load up any draft capital, which is something we will talk about in a second. Or I guess we can talk about it now since we're kind of done here. Well, we need to look at the stats, of course. or no, we need to look at the playoffs. See, I'm all over the place. This is why I don't record live. See, when I don't record live, I'm a lot more structured. But I kind of wanted this to be a lot more freeform, so that's why I'm doing this. So in the wild card round here, the Colts end up going to Miami and beating the Dolphins pretty convincingly. The Eagles hang on against the Buccaneers. The Jaguars and Jets have a bit of a shootout, but the Jags end up on top. And then the Seahawks beat New Orleans in the Superdome in overtime to advance to the divisional. The Ravens handle business against the Colts here, coming off of their bye. The Bears just barely beat out the Seahawks they don't play in Soldier Field in this game, I don't think. Or I think they might. I can't remember. I get the years flipped because there's one year where the Bears play where Illinois plays in Champaign. And then, like Madden 01, they play in Old Soldier Field. And then in Madden 02, they play in Champaign. And I can't remember. It's one of those, but either way. I'm focused way too much on that. The Chargers end up beating the Jaguars in Qualcomm, and then the Eagles pull off the upset against the Rams. I guess it's not an upset, is it? Yeah, I guess it is. The Rams would have been seated higher. So, yeah, the Eagles pull off the upset here, traveling to St. Louis and beat the Rams. And then in the conference championship games, the Ravens beat out the Chargers, and then the Eagles just barely beat out the Bears, probably a late game field goal. So your Super Bowl is between the Eagles and the Ravens, and the Eagles are going to take home their first Super Bowl. A good 15 years before they do it in real life. So congratulations if you're an Eagles fan. Except to EDP 445, do not congratulate him. But everyone else who's an Eagles fan, you get a Super Bowl in the way of this game. So I haven't been keeping track of who our Super Bowl winners are, but we've had some cool ones I know, or just ones that make sense in real life. Like this could have happened at this point in time in history. Maybe not for the Ravens, but maybe a few years prior. I don't know. But so I guess we'll sim the Pro Bowl here and just officially kind of end the season. Okay, so the NFC beats out the AFC. I'm not surprised. So we're going to look at now the stats for our team. I'm going to ignore the team stats again. With the increased quarter lengths, I guess maybe this could probably, we can probably look into this a little bit more. Because normally, because of the sim and the quarter lengths, I just kind of ignored these team stats because they're not really realistic. But some of this stuff, maybe now because of the extended quarter length, like 11th in passing yards, that's probably pretty accurate. Total offense 18th, that's also pretty accurate. Maybe we were a pretty bad rushing team, or actually I thought we were decent. We had a good running back, but I don't think our running game was really all that great either. But yeah, some of these stats actually make a good bit of sense. So yeah, I'm not super shocked with any of this stuff here. I'm really not. A lot of this stuff is pretty fair. Our defense, so we were really kind of ranked towards the middle of the pack, but closer to that bottom 20. So that seems to be kind of consistent across the board. There's not a ton of things, I guess, that we can really look at and point to in terms of a glaring, hey, maybe that's why you guys sucked this year. I know what the issues were. I don't think Chuck Dunn had a great year. His second year, I don't think was really all that great. I think our running defense was also pretty bad. We didn't get a ton of help from our DBs, and the passing game either. Stuff like that. So we couldn't hold on to a lead towards the end of the season. That was weird. So Chuck Dunn's season actually is a lot better. His second year is better than his rookie season, surprisingly. I thought his year was a little bit worse. He plays a significant amount more, took a lot more passes this year anyway. His rating is up a good handful of points here, probably 6 points or so, and he threw for almost 1,000 more yards, 4 less touchdowns here, but he did limit the picks as well, and that completion percentage is up almost 10%, so this is a lot more efficient of a season for Chuck Dunn. Hopefully this increases his overall rating a little bit more. I do not want to have to go back into the pool for quarterback. There's no point in that. And so moving on ahead, Roland Rich does break the 1,000-yard barrier here in his rookie season. So I was a little bit worried about starting him over Bruce Perry, but it ended up being a pretty smart decision here. And Bruce Perry still had a pretty productive year in his second year, rushing for 439 yards and getting 2 touchdowns. Still not a ton to look at here, but I'm really happy about Roland Rich's rookie season. On the receiving side of things, Desmond Clark, our free agent tight end that we signed last offseason, leads our receiving corps in receptions and yards, man. So he was the big target. But Joey Galloway leads in touchdowns. Still, kind of a huge fall off for him. It's pretty close to where he was last year, but the 14 touchdowns last year is a huge outlier. He gets half as many touchdowns. And as he's getting older, we have to start wondering maybe if that production's even going to stay there. So Ragib Ismail, in about 20 less receptions here, 25 less receptions, has the same amount of yards as Desmond Clark does and has one more touchdown. Interesting season. Kelly Thompson was a rookie receiver who ended up getting involved quite a bit in our receiving core, and I didn't think he would in his rookie season. I thought being third or fourth on the depth chart would kind of just bury him, but he ended up being a lot more productive towards the back half of the season, so I'm happy with that. All right, so in the blocking here, Mo Collins. Mo Collins has a pretty similar season to last year. It's a really, really good season. We have a good O-line, so I'm not super worried about it. Larry Allen gets himself another Pro Bowl nod, even though he was a lot less productive in the pancake stat, but still limiting the number of sacks. So good season for Larry Allen once again. Eric Williams has himself, again, same amount of sacks and 10 less pancakes. Interesting how that production works here. Jamie Evans, our young center here, has about a similar season as well, battling some injury. Flozell Adams has the exact same season as last year. So our O-line remains pretty solid, pretty strong and consistent. So that's one of the things we can really kind of rely on. I think most of those guys are still locked up under contract too, so I don't think we have too many things to worry about on the line. So looking defensively here, Dexter Coakley, I want to say was injured this year. He battled injury last year, was out for most of the season, but this year he leads the team in tackles and definitely leads the team in tackles for loss. He was our most productive defensive player on the roster here. But in terms of sacks, Marcus Johnson leads the team in sacks with 8. That's a huge, huge number for the young defensive tackle, man. He's one of my favorite guys that we've brought into the team since taking over. I'm really happy that he's doing well. And then Bryant Westbrook, our free agent cornerback that we signed, I think last offseason or the offseason before. I have it wrote down here. If I can get it here. So in year number 2, so the year before last, our second offseason, we signed him, and he has 3 picks leading the team. So that is how defensive things work up. And then Ted Stuckey, man, had himself quite the year number 2, man. His sophomore year was so much better. 84 percentage, yeah, dude, he was absolutely killing it. He did miss one extra point, interestingly enough, but his longest was a 54-yard, which I think we watched. I think it was in that Redskins game. One of his last kicks of the year was his longest. So, but that is how the team stacks up stat-wise. So I guess we'll look at the awards. That's the last thing we look at. I think we only had 1 Pro Bowler, so I'm not even going to look at it. But we'll look at the yearly awards here. See if we get anything. Jamal Lewis is your MVP. Your Offensive Player of the Year is Corey Dillon. Interesting. In the NFC, it's Donovan McNabb. But yeah, it's Corey Dillon in the AFC and in the league as well. So your Defensive Player of the Year goes to Chris Claiborne for the Detroit Lions. In the NFC, and then the AFC, it's an unnamed free safety for the Colts. Interesting enough. So glad he wasn't the league one, because that would have just been weird. Rookie of the Year goes to Russell Stiles, the quarterback for the Bengals. He was the guy who was kind of dialing us up here. He has himself a pretty good year, I think. No, he's got 15 picks. That was a terrible season. That was a terrible rookie year. Why did he win the honors? That was a terrible rookie season. I'm sure all these guys are pretty rough, too. Pretty bad. I don't know how Roland Rich didn't even get the nod. That's weird, man. Okay, Roland Rich is second here in the NFC. Okay, so maybe that makes sense here. Sam Mays, the rookie quarterback for the Cardinals, also had a pretty bad year. 15 picks to 14 touchdowns. How on earth is he getting Rookie of the Year, man? And Roland Rich is getting snubbed? That's just, oh my God, what are we doing here? And Kenny Thompson's even on the list as well. So we get 2 rookie Cowboys on the list for Rookie of the Year in the NFC, but neither is going to win the award. So unfortunate. And then we don't get any looks at defensive either. I don't even think we had any big defensive rookies on the roster this year. And then Joel Sherwood, rookie strong safety for the Dolphins, wins the award. And then Jesse Kirby, a rookie defensive tackle, wins it for the Redskins. And then Coach of the Year goes to the Bears coach, of course. Wow, that's weird that Andy Reid is 5th on the list. How is Andy Reid 5th on the list? He's the Super Bowl winning coach. He won the Super Bowl. How on earth? In the NFC. And then in the NFL, it's going to go to Riley from San Diego. Interesting. Maybe their team's not that good. I don't know. So, but that's all we're going to look at for awards. And now we're going to move ahead into the next season. It's time to move ahead. All right, let's get into our off-season schedule. Let's look at our retired players. Hopefully there's nothing too huge for us. Okay, so Shannon Sharp, Unc Sharp, he's calling it a career, man. He's going to start bunny hopping and doing podcasts with Ocho Cinco. It's immediately what he's going into. Maybe we can skip out the Canada event of him doing First Take with Skip Bayless. We can just cut that out of his future career and just go right to the Ocho Cinco stuff and the interviews with Cat Williams and whatnot. But he's gone. He's retired. Jimmy Smith is also retiring from the Jaguars. These are pretty massive ones. William Henderson retiring from the Packers. And we're losing Darren Woodson, our strong safety. He's been our strong safety, I think, this whole time. I want to say. I think he's one of the few OG Cowboys that are still left on the roster. I believe so, yeah. So on my roster sheet, there's nothing wrote next to his name, draft or free agent. So he's been one of the OG Cowboys that we've kept here, but he is 35. He's played 200 games total, and after his 13th season, he's calling it a career. So we are losing a pretty big chunk on our defense. It looks like strong safety is going to be one of the big things we've got to focus on heading into the offseason. Junior Seau, who somehow ended up on the Panthers, is retiring as well. OG McDuffie is retiring from the Dolphins. Lorenzo Neal's finally calling it a career, the veteran fullback. He's finally out of here. Victor Green, another big strong safety, calling it a career as well. Sam Rogers is out. Kurt Scholes, another strong safety. So it's a mass exodus for the strong safety position, I guess. Mo Lewis is out as well. Another free safety. Chad Brown. Tyrone Wheatley's gone, so the Raiders lose out on Tyrone Wheatley now. Lamar Smith is going to retire for the Ravens. William Floyd. A lot of fullbacks, too. Herman Moore's gone, so the Lions lose Herman Moore. As a Lions fan, that means something to me. Looking around here, Lee Woodall. I think we ended up using Lee Woodall in the Bengals series, did we not? I think we did. Trying to see if there's any. Oh, okay, so Antoine. I don't think he. I'm trying to remember. I don't think, no, he's a 67. He wasn't anything. Because we've seen, remember, the Seahawks running back situation a lot. So, okay. But I think it looks like that is going to be probably the only major thing we're losing. So let's head now to see who all is retiring. Yeah, so we're just losing Darren Woodson. So another big retirement. It's a big one here, but we might be able to replace that. I'm not entirely sure. So let's go to a re-sign phase. Okay, so Desmond Clark is holding out. So after his big season here, he wants a little bit more money. He wants $3 million. I don't think $3 million is terrible for him. He's an 85. I can't remember what he was last year, but for an 85 overall tight end, I think I'm okay with paying him $3 million. I think I'm okay with that. I think we'll survive paying him that much money. But first, let's look at the rest of the roster and see where the money is going. We have a ton of cap space, so we're going to have to figure out exactly who needs to stay and who we're going to lose. So, Sean Wooden, who is our free safety, we can't afford to lose both safeties, but he's only an 80 overall. Depending on how much money he wants, we might just let him walk, because he's going to want close to $3 million for an 80 overall. I'm not sure if that's going to be super worth it. Need to look at the safety position and just see exactly what we're dealing with. So that's going to be a thing too. Eric Williams is eligible. He's a big vet, a very big vet, very, very big vet. I don't know why I couldn't say that. One of the big vets here who's been locking down our offensive line for a while here, but I don't think he's regressing now. He's a 14-year pro. He's getting a lot older, 35 years old. How much money does he want, dude? Yeah, no, absolutely not. So Eric Williams is going to be gone. We're going to be saying goodbye to him. Flozo Adams, I think regardless of the money he wants, he's definitely probably going to come back. He's one of those fixtures of our offensive line here. It's just, consistency. We're going to definitely have to keep Flozo Adams on the squad. Flozo Adams. So I'm going to look here. I'm flipping my screen now. Here, I'm flipping my paperwork. You can hear it probably. My notebook of notes. So if you're paying attention to some of these, so Eric Williams was a first-year free agent that we signed. I think we got a good bit out of him. He's given us 2 pretty good seasons, but it's time to probably let him go. And then Flozo Adams, I could have sworn, but no. Okay. But then Sean Wooden was another one. Sean Wooden was another free agent that we signed in year number 1. We've gotten some good seasons out of him, but now it is time to probably let him go as well. And then Darren Hambrick. Looks like Darren Hambrick, maybe? I thought Hambrick was a little bit higher than this. What does Hambrick want? That's not that bad. We'll look at the linebacking core and see what we have, but I'm not trying to bring on a lot of bad dudes. So this is a rookie, I think, that we just had to draft, and we're not going to keep on. Yeah, same here. And here, all these guys probably not going to stick around. We'll probably let a lot of these guys. Oh, wow, Jason Lawton, who was a fullback, got involved quite a bit here. He was a fullback that we drafted, I believe. That we had to bring here. I'm looking at the draft stats here. Where is he at? I know he's on here somewhere. No, I don't see him. I know we drafted him. I'm probably just looking over it, but either way, we will not be keeping him on. Chad Pennington is also up. I feel like we're probably going to keep. How much does Chad Pennington want? Wow, 3.70. Now, we'll probably let him go to free agency. We can't afford that much money. We need a backup quarterback, obviously, but we cannot afford that money. Not for him to be a backup, especially when we have Chuck Dunn. So Chad Pennington is probably going to leave here, and then Brian Westbrook is also up, looking for some money. How much does he want? 410. Jeez. We might be in for some trouble, ladies and germs. And then Chad Gonzalez, another young receiver who we drafted. How much is he looking to get here? 2.65? No way. To be the fourth receiver on this team? I don't know about that, buddy. And then Jared O'Neal's up for money, too. He's going to get his first. Okay, 3 for him. I think we can definitely do that. So, looks like a lot of our first-year rookies and some of those first-year free agents are finally up for some money. Out of this list, I can see maybe only 4 or 5 that we're probably going to give money to. So, we're definitely going to give money to Desmond Clark here. Sean Wooden is a question mark. We're definitely going to bring back Flozell Adams, 100%. And then we're probably going to give money to Brian Westbrook and Jared O'Neal. They're our top 2 DBs on the roster. We have to keep them. So we'll probably be giving the money to those guys. And then Chad Gonzalez and Lawton, maybe Hambrick. We might. So we're going to look at our offseason rosters here and see exactly what we're looking like. So let's take a look in here and we'll see. Okay, so after breaking down the roster, at least, the numbers where we have them and where we don't have them, the thing about letting a lot of these guys go is that will officially kind of deplete the position that they're at. So they'll just be positions of need when we go into the draft and free agency, which I think I'm fine with because a lot of these guys I think we can upgrade from. Wooden is the biggest question mark because checking also regression, the regression screen, Sean Wooden has regressed. He regressed a few overall points down to an 80, so I really don't think we're going to get the money out of him if we give it to him. It might be smart to give him the 1-year deal, but I think ultimately I think that getting rid of him or letting him walk is probably in our best interest considering the amount of money that needs to be given out elsewhere. I guess maybe I'll give the contracts to the guys that we know we're going to keep around, and then maybe we'll see if there's money left over where it would make sense to just keep Sean Wooden so we don't have to worry about drafting or buying a free safety. But I also wouldn't mind developing a rookie at that position too. If we could get one in like maybe the high 60s or low 70s, I think we can maybe make that work versus paying Sean Wooden over $3 million or close to $3 million for an 80 overall season. You know what I mean? Especially because he hasn't been one of the best defensive pieces on our team as well. He's been consistent, but just not one of the more disruptive defensive pieces. I don't think we desperately need Sean Wooden's production on the roster. So I'm going to hand out the money to where we need the money to go, and then we'll see what we're looking like. All right, we're going to offer Desmond Clark the $3 million that he wants. I'm going to add another year onto the deal because I think if we can keep him for 2 years, I think we'll get the most out of him. We potentially might not even be around for the full 2 years of this contract, so we're going to see if he'll take it. And he's all right. Cool. So we've settled the holdout problem here. So we have him. Does that remaining year, is that just a new contract now? So do we have him for just another 2 years, or does that add on to the year he already has? Not sure, but we'll move on now. So Flozell Adams here, he wants the $345. Yeah, dude, whatever he wants. I'm gonna see if he'll take it for 3 years. Get down maybe to $335. We'll see if he does that. Yeah, he took it. Cool. All right, so I'm cool paying him whatever because he's one of the best offensive line people that we have, so we desperately need him on the team. Any means necessary, we need him on the team. So, okay. I might re-sign Tony Dixon just for a backup free safety. That might make sense. Tony Dixon, I think, is one of our rookies as well that we drafted. Looking at the draft screen here. Okay, I'm looking. Maybe not. I thought he was. By this point, don't worry. I'll have it all figured out by this point. Don't you worry about it. But we'll offer him a 2-year deal here for $1 million and see if he takes that. Add a couple years to the deal. Okay, you want it longer? Sure. How about that? All right, cool. 3 for $1 million. So we have at least a backup free safety, and if we don't find an upgrade over Wooden, then Dixon will probably get the starting job. We'll take that. We're going to let Kelly walk, of course, our backup tight end. No real reason to keep him around. Whatever Lawton wants, $600 for a year. We'll see if we do $500 for 2 years. We'll try that. For more incentives. How about 550 for 2 years? Nope. Such a short-term deal. Oh, so how about we'll try 500 for 3 years? How about that? Attempt to offer my client that low of a salary. 550 for 3 years? And he'll take it. Okay, so cool. So now we've got our fullback position locked up. We're going to leave Chad Pennington. We're going to let him walk here. And Quincy Carter will probably be the de facto backup quarterback. And we'll probably just sign someone to be that third guy. But Bryant Westbrook is definitely going to get the extension that he wants here. We'll see if he'll do just 4 flat here for about 3 years. We'll try that out. Yeah, they'll take it. Cool. So we probably could have offered him a little bit less than 4, but I'm okay with Bryant Westbrook being one of the more higher paid players on the roster. That makes a bit of sense to me. Chad Gonzalez for 265 is not happening. It isn't happening. I know we could probably get another receiver. We could fall into receiver 74 overall for way less money. I know no, he's not. We're gonna let him walk. Jared O'Neal, we're gonna bring back here for $3 million. I don't want a penny pinch with Jared O'Neal. I'm okay with giving him 3. We'll see if he'll do like 290 for 3 years. How about that? Yeah, he takes it. Cool. So we save a little bit of money there. So those are our 2 biggest concerns was Bryant Westbrook and Jared O'Neal, so we were able to lock them down. Casey Gordon, I don't want to give a bunch of money to a punter, dude. It's a punter, but we do need a punter, so how about 3 years for 150? Cool. All right, whatever. So our punter situation, we don't have to worry about that for a few years. Everyone else, I think we're going to let go. Everyone else is kind of old here, so we're going to need to find a new left outside linebacker because Darren Hambrick is the only guy on the roster at that position. We're going to need to find a new right tackle because we're giving up on both of our right tackles right now. We're going to need probably a new starting free safety, but we do have an option there, so we're not completely empty at the position now. And then maybe some depth we're going to need to find. We might be able to get in the draft. We're actually going to really need to consult the draft. Normally, by this point in these franchise modes, you don't really need to focus on the draft too much because, you just get so many good players and you can just kind of plug and play a bunch of people from free agency. It doesn't really matter. But this year we're really going to need a lot of draft. And we didn't really get a lot of draft picks because at the deadline in week 6, I still thought there was a chance that we could kind of turn the season around and at least be competitive down the stretch. But that just didn't end up happening. So we ended up missing out on an opportunity. But also we didn't really have a ton of resources that made it worthwhile to even try and move. So it was either make the team worse to get draft picks or just kind of stick with what we have and just try and rely on making the team better in the offseason. And I chose the latter. So we're going to move ahead now and leave these guys, let them go into free agency and just see what all we can do. We'll look at maybe the expiring deals. So I mentioned Reggie Ishmael and Joey Galloway at the end of the last video to see if we might be looking to move on from them. This Joey Galloway deal is seeming a lot worse, 6.2, and he's now regressing down to an 81. So this deal is actually really kind of bad for us. I don't even know if we'll be able to trade away from that if we end up having to trade away from that, because I really think one of these guys could be a good deadline piece to move either of them, because I don't think we're going to need either of them moving forward. Kelly Thompson got a huge boost in production, so but we're losing Chad Gonzalez. So the receiving core is going to be a bit of a question here. We do have a young one, but it's not that deep, so I don't know. But both these guys are going to be gone here. Adam Tyson's another intriguing piece, a rookie that we drafted. He'll be gone too. Keith McKenzie's a free agent that we not drafted, but signed in free agency to lock down the left end position because Ahanatu was getting old, and we had to let him go. And then Dan DeWin is going to be up for an extension as well. And remember, he was kind of giving us fits last offseason about staying with the Cowboys, so we might not even be able to keep him. And then, yeah, other than that, I think those are the other big names that we can probably expect to look at next season. But we're going to move ahead now into free agency. Okay, so the first big man on the board here, Jason Taylor. Nah, we definitely don't have the money for Jason Taylor. I wouldn't even pay that. No, I don't think we need that. I don't think we need that. It's cool, it's intriguing, but no. What else do we got here? John Abram. Now that's a little bit more intriguing here. So looking back now at our stat sheet. On the right end, this would be a pretty significant upgrade at right end. We might even be able to trade our current starting right end in exchange. So I'm going to at least throw money at John Abram. He'll probably be one of the players in a bidding war between Mike McCarthy and John Abram. We should be able to get one of them, but almost 490s? Yeah, dude, no, absolutely not. Are you on crack? What is wrong with you? John Abram, yeah, dude, I'll offer you 330. How about 350? Or 340. We'll do that. 340 for 3 years. We'll offer that deal. We'll just see. We're probably going to get into a bidding war with him, and if it exceeds probably like 4.5, we'll probably just let it go. But I'll throw some money out there. We're currently developing at the center position, so I don't think we need that upgrade here. Dude, a lot of right ends are charging a lot of money. Maybe it's just a position by demand right now. It's just a huge one that everyone kind of needs. Okay, there's really not a lot in free agency I'm seeing that's going to help us out quite a lot. So we officially kind of need some positions here. Kwame Lassiter. I'm definitely signing Kwame Lassiter. I don't care what he wants. 2 mil, 3 years. Boom. We definitely need Kwame Lassiter on this team. I want Kwame Lassiter on this team. All right, so the first day is already simming here, and it looks like Atlanta's offering $365 for 3 years. So we're going to have to get into a bit of a big bidding war over him. And here's Sean Wooden down here, so only a 1-point upgrade. Yeah, look. Look, don't ask about it. We could get a pretty big upgrade at running back, too. I'm kind of thinking about signing Charlie Gardner. I like Roland Rich. He only increased by 2 overall points with the rookie season he had. He's only up to a 72, so it might be important for us to actually invest in a running back. I might actually try and do that. Charlie Gardner, just get a veteran on the team here for a couple seasons. We'll see if we can do that. All right, I'm going to fast forward the rest of free agency, and I'll let you guys know how it went. All right, I'm tuning in to say that we were able to get John Abrams. We did get in a bidding war for him a little bit here. The last offer came from New England for 4.05, and so I put it up to 420 for 3, and we did land John Abrams. So we do got a brand new right end here. We've just beefed up at that position. I think we'll be able to get some draft capital from trading who we currently have starting there. So yeah, I think we're doing okay here on the right end side. So now we're going to see what we get in the rest of free agency. Okay, so we also get Mays. I put a deal on a strong safety here just to hold the position. He's not very good. He's a 74 overall, but just in case we can't get one in the draft or get an upgrade, we now have someone to start there, and they're not completely terrible. So we were able to get him for less than 2 mil, and it looks like we're going to get rejected from Kwame Lassiter. Okay, we're going to keep on battling. Okay, so here is our finished free agent class. So, of course, we get John Abram here that we already kind of talked about. I was able to land Kwame Lassiter. Jacksonville offered 2.05, and I offered 2.15, and he took it. So now we have Kwame Lassiter. We have our option free safety. He's only a slight upgrade over Wooden. I guess really doesn't make sense to sign Kwame Lassiter. I just wanted Kwame Lassiter on this team. He was such a beast in our Cardinals franchise. The first series I ever did on my channel, I just wanted him on the roster, but he's older now. We're probably not going to get a ton out of him. We probably just signed him to his last contract ever. Maybe we can still move him if he really kind of regresses. We'll be looking for free safety in another season or so, but I just wanted him on the team. So that's my justification. I just wanted him on the team. So we signed at Charlie Gardner as well. He's going to be our running back here for the next couple seasons. He's going to be a veteran presence in our running back room. We finally have an actual decent running back to start for us, but the team is not really getting younger. It's a thing you can point to for sure. This young, strong safety is actually, a little bit of youth we're bringing in. He's going to hold down the strong safety position for now, unless we can draft something a little bit better. I ended up bringing back number 50, our unnamed outside linebacker that we had. I should have simmed through the rest of free agency. My bad. But we did end up bringing him back here. There weren't a ton of options at right outside linebacker. I figured for depth, he'd be fine to bring back. He didn't want a ton of money, so I said, screw it. We have the money. We'll just bring him back. And then I signed this quarterback here to be a backup for us. It looks like he just maybe didn't get tendered by his team that drafted him, so they just let him go. And so I just signed him, so we had a third quarterback on the depth chart. We're probably going to be consulting free agency after the offseason just to get some depth positions to meet roster requirements, and this is just one of them. I'm just kind of scratching it off. So we're going to sim through the rest of free agency now and get into the draft and see if we can really beef up this team, because it's all going to come down to the draft now. All right, y'all. I come to you as a battered man. The draft was not what we thought it was. So the biggest poll here is Otis Cameron. We were able to draft Otis Cameron with the 10th pick in the draft here in round number 1. He's an 82 overall tight end. I honestly think he could probably be a good replacement for Desmond Clark. We've kind of been doing tight end as a tight end by committee at that position for the last couple seasons, and I think Otis Cameron might be the permanent fixture on this team at that position that we kind of need, and so being able to move off of Desmond Clark might be in the cards for us, so even though we just extended him, so we can get that money off the books, maybe get some picks as well, and now we have a new tight end of the future. In the second round, I picked on Fernando Williams, right tackle. He was really the only kind of good player that was kind of left in positions that we needed, so right tackle is probably going to be kind of a hole, but I figured if we have no one to start at that position, we at least have a rookie that we're developing there, but that's probably going to be a humongous hole for us heading into year number 5. I also drafted a new receiver in Leon Randall. He's a 71 overall. I just drafted him because of his speed. I like his speed. He's going to be probably the fifth guy on the depth chart at that position. So just a depth receiver that we can keep. And then I drafted another depth cornerback and Ricky Waters. And then after the fourth round, it pretty much was all just kind of depth picks of just guys that we needed at certain positions. And so we didn't really fill the holes that we needed to. So we're going to have to probably consult free agency and just kind of take whatever scraps we can get left. So it's a tough situation, but we're going to sign the draft picks. All right, now's the fun part here where we reorder the depth chart. Some of those lower round guys that are signed for a year here just to fill the position because we're obviously not going to need them long term. But we're going to move ahead now into reordering our depth chart. So obviously Chuck Dunn's still going to be our starter. He only gained 1 overall point from last season. He's up to an 81. I was hoping he'd get a little bit better here, but it's slow rolling for him. Quincy Carter's going to be QB number 2, and then Deuce Rivers, the guy that we signed up for agency, is going to be the third quarterback on the depth chart. In the running back room here, we're going to move out Roland Rich for Charlie Gardner. Roland Rich is not developing again as fast as I was hoping he would. So even after the 1,000-yard season, we're probably just going to keep him below Charlie Gardner just to get some surefire production at the running back position here, and keep the young boys at the bottom here. So in the fullback position, obviously we're still going to run with Jason Lawton again. Chevin Murphy here is about the same overall. I'm kind of curious if maybe it'd be worth starting one over the other. So the carry is a lot better for Lawton, which probably makes him the better play at that position, because we saw them kind of throw a little bit more, and it looks like Lawton's a lot tougher of a fullback too. So Lawton, I think, is probably the better option overall. So we're probably going to stick with him there. I just know that we drafted Chevin Murphy, and I kind of want to give him a shot to play, especially if he's the same overall as Lawton. But overall, it's not a big deal. Receiving wise, we're going to have Joey Galloway's receiver 1. Reggie Bismail as receiver 2, and probably what could be their last or potential last season as Cowboys, so we'll be looking into that. Kenny Thompson's receiver number 3. I actually think he probably should be a little bit higher, so I think I'm going to put Reggie Bismail ahead of Joey Galloway just because of overall, and I think I'm going to put Thompson here into the second role. So yeah, I think we're going to drop Joey Galloway down to receiver 3. I want Kenny Thompson to get a little bit more looks, but then again, Reggie Bismail, we're going to keep Kenny Thompson here in the second spot and keep Joey Galloway at 3. We might even be looking, I don't know, he's just kind of an albatross now at this point. Adam Tyson's going to be 4, and then our rookie Leon Randall's going to be 5th. And then we have another rookie, Chris Barnett, at 6. So that's how the receiving core stacks up. Desmond Clark is our starting tight end with Otis Cameron behind him. We're probably going to be looking to move off of Desmond Clark. We'll see if we can get a nice haul for him. Maybe if we can get a first or a couple seconds, that might be important. And we'll see if we can load up on some picks and just start Otis Cameron moving forward. At left tackle, we're going to have Flozell Adams again. Larry Allen's going to hold down left guard for us, the best player in the team. Jamie Evans, up to an 83 overall, is going to be the starting center. Jose Brandt got up a little bit, but he's going to be the backup. Mo Collins is going to hold down the right guard position for us again with Chris Allworth behind him. Right tackle is going to be our rookie Fernando Williams. I don't know if there's anything we can do to probably increase that. I doubt there's someone better in free agency. Maybe there is, but I think I'm okay with starting a rookie there for the season. Keith McKenzie is going to be our starting left end once again. John Abrams is going to be the starting right end. We're probably going to look to see if we can trade Greg Ellis away and get some picks for him. Marcus Johnson is going to be a starting defensive tackle with Blaine Green going to be directly behind him. We do not have a left outside linebacker, so we're going to have to figure something out there. Maybe I can start number 50 there. Yeah, he'll be a 70 overall, so we'll start him there in the left position just to have somebody there. In the middle linebacking position, Dat Nguyen is going to be our starting middle linebacker, and then Cedric Nelson is going to be behind him. Dexter Copley is going to start on the right side, so our linebacking core is really kind of rough. It's really kind of rough heading into year number 5. Bryant Westbrook and Jared O'Neal are going to be 1 and 2. Our DBs, Lennox Morrison is going to be number 3. Izell Reese is going to be number 4, and then Matt Burrow, the rookie, is going to be 5th on the roster. So that's how our DBs are looking. Kwame Lassiter is going to be our starting free safety with Tony Dixon behind him. And then Lionel Mays is going to be our starting strong safety with Ted Stuckey coming back to kick for us and Casey Gordon coming back to punt for us. So that's how the roster is looking. So nothing too incredibly big, not any drastic changes that I was kind of hoping we'd be able to make. I don't know if we necessarily got a lot better. We got significantly better at running back, but I don't know if we got really a whole lot better anywhere else on the roster. So we're going to move into the new season. We're going to shed some more light here, vomit some more thoughts, and maybe try and make some trades. So we're going to move ahead to that now. Okay, so let's see here. So let's see if the breakdown. Okay, so they want us to have another tackle, and we need another outside linebacker. So let's go and sign one right now. Let's just sign another tackle. We'll sign another right tackle, I guess, if we can. Yeah. Is anyone here just looking for a cheap deal? Is there a cheap rookie? Yeah, you are. You're cheap. We'll bring you on. $550 for a year. How about $500 for a year? Cool. All right. So we filled that position now. Let's go to left outside linebacker and just sign one here really quickly. Again, $500 for a year. Offer deny. Come up with something a little more long term. 2 years. No. 3 years. Sure. Have fun. Have fun being a Cowboy for 3 years. Have a blast. Okay, so it looks like we fulfilled. Looks like we fulfilled all of our roster requirements, so we are completely complacent now. Cool. All right. Awesome. The roster is in good spot now. So it looks like we will probably. I'm going to test the market for Desmond Clark and see what we can get for him. So let me check out the market really quick. All right, so after testing out the market, it seems the highest anyone's really willing to give for Desmond Clark is a third rounder, and a third rounder is definitely not going to sweeten the deal for us. It'd pretty much just be getting a third rounder just to get rid of the money, which maybe by the deadline that'll make a little bit more sense depending on how the season goes. But for now, I don't know if that really makes a ton of sense for us. So I guess we'll just hang on to Desmond Clark for the time being. We have him for a couple of years here, and now we have a rookie backup, so I guess we're cool with it. I thought we could do maybe a little bit more than that, but we can't. So there's actually a lot of teams that really don't have a tight end answer right now. They really don't have an answer for tight end, so I'm shocked that there wasn't more of a demand for him, but yeah, I guess people aren't really looking to move it. I was able to craft a deal with the Broncos where they would send us a first round pick for Clark, a third and a fourth, and I was like, that's just kind of a net negative in draft capital, so it's not really kind of worth it. Even if we get the extra first rounder, I don't know if that's entirely worth it. But again, maybe by the deadline it makes a little bit more sense. We'll see. But the only other trade I want to try and do here is I'm going to see if we can move Greg Ellis somewhere around the league here. So we'll see if we can get. I would take a third for him, so maybe we can get a third or a fourth. So we'll see if we can move him around. All right, the Falcons are prepared to give us a second-round pick for Greg Ellis. They have a pretty bad right end situation. The Falcons have been pretty bad in this franchise mode, so I think this actually might be a solid investment. We might get a high second-round pick from Atlanta for this trade, so we're going to do it. Boom, there we go. All right, so we did make one move. We have an extra second-round pick. I think it's going to end up being a pretty high-value pick for us. We shed off some depth that we really don't need, but the tight end thing is something we're going to have to figure out. So, but either way, we're going to move ahead. And let's get into the schedule. The last thing we're going to get into before we close this one out. So we start our season off on the road here, a 3-game road trip. So we start off with a 3-game road trip late on Sunday here against the Eagles in Philly. Then we go to Washington to play the Skins, and then head to Pontiac to play the Lions in Detroit, air quotes, in Detroit, on the road for the second straight year before we finally head home. Okay, hopefully everything's cool. I hope so. Okay, I kicked my thing, my little capture card. It stops working. OBS, it's the whole thing. Anyway, but we have the 3-game road trip, of course, here to Philly, Washington, and Detroit. Then we get our first home games against the Falcons and the Giants. We'll probably watch one of those games. Then we take to the road again for another few weeks to play the Buccaneers, Jets, and the Patriots. Looks like we're playing the AFC East this year. And then we're home with the Bills and Redskins and Eagles and Dolphins and Saints and Seahawks. We get, how many home games is that? Is that 5 straight home games? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We get 6 straight home games. So a long homestand in the middle of the season. We get the Dolphins on Thanksgiving. We'll probably try and watch that game. And then we might get this rematch with the Seahawks again, man, for the grudge match. I don't know. Seattle's won it every single one. And then we close out with a road trip to New York and to Carolina to play the Panthers. So an interesting schedule here. I kind of like the schedule. There's a lot of fun games here, and we'll see if we can get back to the playoffs, because now for sure, if we do not make it to the playoffs, we're probably going to lose our jobs definitively. I've been saying that a lot, but I feel like the game's probably going to give up at some point. So we're going to look here and see. No comment. They've got no comment. Jerry has no comment for us. Absolutely no comment. So I'm probably going to change up the coaching strategy a little bit. I want to run the football a little bit more since we got Charlie Gardner, but I still want Chuck Dunn to kind of be the focal point of the offense moving forward. So that's kind of the big major changes. So moving ahead with the series is obviously going to end before the Alabama one does, which is fine. We'll just start up another series. I mentioned, I think in one of the last couple episodes that there's a chance that if Will Newton does get fired, I'll just auto-gen a new coach, and then we'll just continue with the Cowboys until we, do whatever. But either way, I wouldn't want the series to prolong past a decade. We're already 5 years in, and I think realistically, just with how the NFL works, like to expect to go longer than 10 years, Mike Tomlin's the anomaly, right? We're not going to be the next Mike Tomlin. So if we can at least, get a good 6-7 seasons out of this, I think that'll be a long enough series for this before we move on to the next one. The Bengals series went for 6 years, and that ended up being 40 episodes. I don't think this necessarily needs to go a whole lot longer than that, so we'll probably go that long here. This might last us till the Super Bowl, maybe a little bit after. We'll see, and then after that, we'll figure it out. We'll figure out what we're doing. But that's moving on further ahead here. Obviously, the eyes are set now on what we need to do for year number 5 to get back into the playoffs. So the NFC East has been pretty bad the last couple of seasons. So the fact that we haven't really capitalized on it, except for the one season, is kind of bad for me. The roster I really don't think truly grew an awful lot here. As you can see, we're still kind of outclassed by the Eagles. We're lacking in some positions. I think, the tight end thing might have been a bit of a blunder too. But so we'll look at it all, obviously, when we lose our jobs inevitably, and we'll talk about it when we end the series, whenever that may be. But focusing on year 5, we'll probably start things off with this Eagles game. I would imagine we'll probably start the Eagles game, and then we'll watch the Falcons game next. That's probably what's gonna end up happening. So hope to see you guys back in the next one here when we start off year number 5. Against the Eagles, when we kick off year number 5 in Philadelphia against the Eagles. So thank you guys so much for watching, man. Hope you guys appreciate the series. If you've got any comments, questions, concerns, I guess, leave them. Feel free to leave them. If you want to insult me, go for it. I won't necessarily read it, but feel free to do or say whatever you want. Hope you guys enjoy the videos, we'll see you guys probably in a couple days when we do this Eagles game. So thanks again for watching.